Hey guys, it's Barratt with Gimpy Camper. So we went down to New Orleans. My wife always wanted to go there. So we went down there. We ended up staying at Fontainbleu State Park. Now there's going to be a lot of things that I probably mispronounced during this because I'm not too good at all that Creole, Cajun stuff. I don't know. It is what it is. This is where we ended up staying at Fontainbleu State Park. And that's right across from Lake Ponchartrain. Across the causeway there is about 45 minutes to New Orleans, and we really like the campground. I wanted to share some stuff with you about it right now, so we'll get into that right after this. Now that causeway bridge over Lake Ponchartrain, it is 24 miles long almost, and so that's going to be most of the time. The actual entrance to the bridge is like 3 or 4 miles from the campground, so it's not that far. Most of your travel time from the Fontainbleu State Park to New Orleans is going to be across the bridge there. There is a toll when you're going southbound there. There's a toll. It was $5 for the truck. I think you have to have only 2 axles and be under 7 foot tall or something like that. It's just $5. There's not a toll on the way back, which I thought was kind of strange and interesting. But, you know, it's not too bad of a deal. I will say when it's foggy, they had it cut down to 1 lane and they had it cut down to like 45 miles per hour instead of 65. And so it did take a little bit longer then. But for the most part, it was pretty close to the city. We didn't mind the drive. We liked where we stayed. And we're going to tell you about the campground here. Now there were a couple of other places, including some state parks and stuff that I looked at before we went, and the issue with those, number one, I don't really go for the whole resort type place, which a lot of the places that were actually over across Lake Ponchartrain with New Orleans there were some places that were probably closer, but they were the whole resort type area, and we don't get into that. So we would rather stay at a state park. Now I did see another 1 or 2 state park type places that were a little bit closer, I think about 10 minutes closer driving time, but they seem to be more of like marshland, swampy area. In this, after I saw the picture of the beach, I was like, well, we're going to stay there. You know, it was New Year's Eve. It's a New Year's trip, so we didn't actually go swimming or anything, but it was nice to go down to the beach a couple of times, watch the sunset over the water. But we did go down and watch the sunset over the beach a couple of times, and it was just a really pretty area to enjoy. Now, Fontainbleu State Park is a 2,800 acre park with quite a few things to do, actually. One of the interesting things that we really never got to check out like we wanted to was on the road on the way in. There is an old sugar mill that was actually built in 1852. And there's some ruins from that. A lot of brick walls and stuff still standing. And it was a pretty area, and we would have liked to explore it. But we spent a lot more time than I had anticipated in New Orleans because my wife wanted to drag me there every day. I just wanted to relax. But you know, once I started going, it's a pretty fun area. And so, you know, we did go more than I had anticipated on going to the actual city. But how often are we going to get down there, right? So there are 126 campsites with water and electricity, as well as about 40 primitive sites here at the park. They apparently only have 5 campsites with sewer hookups according to their website. And since there are 23 premium campsites listed, I'm not sure how you're supposed to know which sites have sewer and which don't. We only stayed a week. Whenever we're staying a week or less, we could care less about sewer anyway. Even up to 2 weeks, I'll just use like a bathhouse or something if that's an option. I don't have the rollable portable caddy. I've never seen a use for it for our particular style of camping. And so I just don't want to drag anything else along with us. And so for us, it works. Now there are 2 trails that are very popular in the park as well. The first trail is 1¼ miles long. It's a nature trail where they have a lot of signs labeling common plants and trees for the area. And the second, it's almost 5 miles long. I think the whole thing's paved. It's a loop around the campground in the state park there. It's a nice bicycle trail. You do kind of go across it on the way in, and there's some stop signs there where you're supposed to stop your truck or trailer and kind of let anybody go by there because they have the right of way of the trail. So, you know, if you're into bicycling, I think that would be a great area for you to explore as well. There are also some cabins in the area. However, this area was closed when we were there. I believe it was due to some damage from Hurricane Ida I had read about on their website. It looked like they were rebuilding these cabins from the ground up. I did kind of drive by what I could see of them. They looked like they were really nice. They were like right on the water, built up above the water like a dock type area. And I would really think that would be a nice place to stay if you were looking for a cabin in the area as well. I'm not sure when they're going to have them opened up though, because they still had a lot of work to do. And apparently there are also 12 glamping tents that are booked through Tentrr, Tentrr. But truthfully, these didn't seem too impressive, just in my opinion, from what you could see looking at them. I didn't even know what they were until I saw them on there. Truthfully, they look like the Harbor Freight, like tarp garage, temporary shed type things. I don't know. I don't know if there's electricity in them. I don't know anything about it, but I'm just telling you, just from looking at it, it didn't look like a glamping area to me. So let's talk cell speeds. Verizon appears to be the king in this area as far as cell speeds go, but I will say all of our speeds are pretty fast. My AT&T FirstNet on my phone had 3.81 up and 31.16 down. And using the Instant Connect, which is also AT&T FirstNet, I did get 49 down and 6.54 up. Now, we were actually streaming a movie while I checked that as well, so it might have been a little bit better. However, my wife's Verizon phone, it got 6.62 up with 115 down, so I don't think there's any arguing about that at all. And really, that's why we keep one phone, mine on the AT&T FirstNet and hers on the Verizon. That way, if we do go somewhere where one of them doesn't pick up, we have a pretty good chance of the other one getting service. But in this case, I think you're going to be good no matter what service you have because you're pretty close to town. So let's talk amenities here. One of the most beautiful aspects of the campground, in my opinion, are the large live oak trees that are covered in moss. These are scattered across the park and they are beautiful. Being that it's just after Christmas, they had some lights hanging on one of them, as well as Santa's sleigh and reindeer under the tree. I was hoping to get some footage of that, but I don't think I ever was able to get any. It's kind of at an intersection, so you had to like get out of the truck to take a good picture. But it was very nice on the decorating aspect of the campground. There were multiple bathhouses across the campground, however they seem to vary quite a bit as far as how old or how nice the facilities are. I can say that the older ones that I went in were nice and clean. They just had more noticeable rust in the sinks and that kind of stuff were more run down. As far as cleanliness though, they were all very clean. The shower layout was also less private in the older bathhouse that we were near, as there were a couple of shower stalls with individual curtains, but then there was one large curtain on the other side of that where you had to share like a changing area. There are a couple of nice playgrounds at the park as well. There's a large playground between the campground and the beach area, and there's another playground that's located between the two campgrounds, which they've broken up into the north campground and the southern campground. Obviously, one of the best amenities here is the beach area. Although it's a large lake, it feels like you're on the coast, as you only get a slight image of a few taller buildings over in the New Orleans area on a really clear day, as well as you see the Causeway Bridge way over on the right. Other than that, you feel like you're just like on the coast of just looking at the beach. And while you're about 45 minutes from New Orleans, you're only about 4 miles from the town of Mandeville, which has a decent amount of accommodations, even including a Cafe du Monde, which is over near the exit to get on the causeway. Apparently the website also states that they do honor the America the Beautiful Pass here as well, but I talked to them about that. You know, this is a kind of off the book use of the America the Beautiful Pass. People ask me about that all the time because that pass is for federal issue things, okay? So some other campgrounds, including apparently Louisiana state parks, they use that pass as just your form of identification where you've been vetted by some other way to know that you're a senior or that you have a handicap or something like that. And so they use that, but like I said, it doesn't really have anything to do with the pass itself. That's just the way that they use for your identifier. But they said that the issue with that is they only do those for other states that show reciprocity with that process with them. And so there are 4 states, Louisiana, I think Mississippi, Arkansas, and I can't remember what the 4th state was. But if you're not from those 4 states, then they won't honor your America the Beautiful pass, which, like I say, that's kind of an off-the-book use for it anyway, and so they don't have to honor it, so it's not a big deal. And the park wasn't that expensive. I was actually thinking it was like $19 a day. It was more, it was like $30 to $33 a day, somewhere in there. I'd forgot about the deposit that I'd made beforehand, but it's still a very good bargain in my opinion. But if you are from an approved state, they'll take half of that off. So we always talk about negative aspects of the campground. The campground layout's fairly run-of-the-mill here. They do seem to have quite a few sites that have a little bit more space than others, but you got to watch those sites in the center of the campground, as they can be pretty squished together, and that goes for the north campground and the south campground. There are also plenty of signs talking about low-hanging tree limbs. This wasn't an issue for us, however. I was watching for some lower trees and some that kind of angled over the road when I was going in. I didn't see the signs when I was actually had the camper, but I was watching for them. We didn't have any issues there. Now, granted, our camper is just a little over 12 foot tall, so some of you guys are over a foot taller than us, but we didn't have any issues at all. As with a lot of pull-through sites, some of these seem to be pretty harsh angles, but they seem to have a lot of space at those too, so you got to take that with your driving ability. A lot of the ones when you first go into the south campground that are over on the right side, which we'll point out a few in a few minutes, they seem to have quite a bit of space. And some of the ones that were kind of in the center of the north campground, it wasn't really the angle getting in, but they were more squished together, and so you got to kind of watch all that. But as far as everything, I just prefer a back end site to a pull in. I don't care, as long as you can back up, it doesn't matter to you, right? So let's talk about those preferred sites, since we kind of hinted at it. So my number 1 preferred site is site 24. It is a pull-through site, but it seems to have plenty of space, as well as a cleared out yard space in front of the site. And next I would probably prefer site 3, which is very similar. Then site 138, which is actually where we stayed. It is a back-end site, but we had plenty of space there. Then I would prefer sites 143, 140, 49, 132, 128, 16, 4, 120, and 118. Now there are a lot more sites that we would be okay staying in, but these were the ones that I would recommend mostly, just based on space alone. So guys, I hope you enjoyed our review here of the Fontainebleu State Park. We really liked our time here. We wouldn't mind going back. And if you found this video helpful, click up there that subscribe button and we'll appreciate it. Just follow us along our journey and we'll see you next time.
Do not forget to hit that subscribe button.